It's time for, hello, a Jersey Shore recap podcast.
Hello.
Hello, and welcome back to the Jersey Shore Season 2 reunion.
This is your host, G-Wow.
And I'm Cookie.
Together we are Cookie and G-Wow, and this is Hello, your Jersey Shore recap podcast. But today it is a little different because we're covering the reunion of Season 2 because there was some drama we got to get into. They need to recap.
And there was also some nonsense filler that they needed to get into because this wasn't as good as last season's reunion. I'm not gonna lie. Last season's reunion was juicy. We got Ron and Sam literally broke up in the last reunion.
I couldn't agree more. So this was hosted by Jalissa again.
The infamous Jalissa.
And did you feel a little bit like she was like, how do I describe this? Kind of making them like dance, monkey dance.
Yeah,
like say this, Polly, do this. Like it felt like she was making them caricatures of themselves, but like on the stage, and they were going with it. But I was a little bit like, okay, like we get it.
She literally asked Paul specifically to say cabs are here, and he was like, okay, cabs are here. Like it's like, okay. I don't particularly love Jalissa's vibe. I didn't last reunion either. And so I looked her up, and there's whole Reddit threads about Jersey Shore fans that can't stand her or her reunions. And it's all the kind of same stuff I was saying, or we were talking about last reunion for season 1, which is she was worse this one with the monkey dance thing, but also she's a little too familiar. Like she's too quick to read them and like drag them as if she knows them.
Yeah, her vibe is very aggressive, just like forward and in your face. And she tries to then like wrap it in this bubbly, upbeat personality, but it is off-putting.
It's just like you don't know them like that.
No, I agree. So everybody's there except for one cast member. Surprise, surprise.
Guess who
Angelina chose not to show.
What a coward. How could you not show? Okay.
I'm surprised actually that she didn't show.
Because like she was in most of the season. She only missed a few episodes.
Exactly. You came for last season when you were in 3 episodes max and did that whole reunion and like whatever. And this season, I feel like she knew she'd get dragged a lot, but I felt like she probably would have walked out in a better light if she had been there. Like without her there, they were just able to take a dump on her without any repercussions, pretty much.
And because she never showed up again to the main show. They replaced her.
True.
So she kind of never got a real goodbye from the show at large. And this could have been her opportunity to do that. But okay, do you think she knew that she wasn't going into season 3? And do you think that the producers basically fired her, or did she say she wasn't going back?
It could have been a combination. Like maybe they said, you're not going to season 3, but you can come to the reunion. And then she was like, well, then fuck you. I'm not even going to your reunion show. Who knows?
Yeah.
Here's my question for you. Do you think the cast doing this reunion show has watched the season yet? Knowing what we know, like about when they showed Sam the footage and stuff, like, do you think they've seen anything before it's kind of getting flashed on screen?
I'll tell you my theory, and I did not have time to Google it, so I'm going to try to find it in one of those producer AMAs. But this is my theory. I think they filmed the season 2 reunion during season 3 production. That's my theory. That's my theory for why Angelina wasn't there, because she was like, fuck you. If you're filming a season without me, I'm not doing a reunion. And I think I believe during season 3, because it is confirmed, a producer said on Reddit, in the middle of season 3, we showed Sam season 2.
What was airing. Yeah.
So she would know going forward. So they gave them an opportunity in the middle of production to watch season 2. So, but then during this reunion, they seem to recognize all the clips. So that's why my theory is that like mid season 3, they did the reunion. And also there wasn't an energy of like, we haven't seen each other in a while. I don't know. I feel like they did it in the middle of production, but who knows? I don't know.
I don't
I could
think
be
you're
wrong.
super off in that, honestly, because there's definitely not like a, hey, the gang's back together.
Right.
It's very like, this is something we are here and being paid to do. So we're here. And even though they're being good sports about it, even with the, dance monkey dance stuff, they're being nice, but like, it's not like this, like they came off season 1 being like, we're celebrities now. What's
Yeah.
up? And this one feels very much like this is another job and we're here and this is a
We signed a
formality.
contract.
Yep.
Exactly. And you know what? I think they framed the reunion. I think they produced the reunion after some of or most of the previous season has aired because like,
Mm,
okay, what they're going to show in the reunion, they have to know what they
makes the
showed us
cut.
throughout the season. But I also
Good
know that
point.
the season 2 is airing during season 3. So that's why I firmly believe the reunion happened mid season 3 in the middle of production. So I'm going to find out. I'm going to Google it.
I love that. Here's my second question for
Okay.
you. And this is going to be a controversial one.
Uh-oh.
Do you think that at this point, wherever they filmed it, whether it was during, before, after season 3, whatever, do you think that at this point they had access to drugs and were on them for this reunion? And I asked this because Ronnie's laugh seems too much to me, and because Mike just looks high as shit.
I do believe they were on something. Maybe they had a little wine. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt and say it was something legal. But there was
Okay.
something in their system, absolutely. Some of them, for sure. And Snooki was a little bit like slovenly too, a little bit like sloppy.
Yeah.
And the way and just like her posture and stuff. So I think either I think they might have all been at least doing something.
Well, I just had to bring up those two things before we got into what they discussed because it was top of mind within the first like 5 minutes.
Yeah, I
For
think
me.
they were on something.
All right, let's get into what they discussed in the reunion. So the first kind of topic of conversation, they go through how to defuse some grenades and the lack of juice heads that were in Miami.
I guess that's true. There wasn't juice heads. Is it a different workout culture?
I think so. I think that the ideal body is different in Jersey versus Miami. Yes.
That's interesting because now that I think about it, I think juice heads aren't that common in most places. Like, I don't think I see a lot of juice heads here in Los Angeles.
I mean, it's like a bodybuilder kind of look. And so I don't think it's something that it can just like universally be achieved. I don't know.
Is it a Jersey thing?
I think it's at least more common there.
Well, they missed their juice heads and they were not filling on the lean boys in Miami.
Mm-mm. The next thing is what I mentioned, where Paulie it's basically they show some different compilation clips, and this one is just a compilation of Paulie screaming different things, which then they make him do on stage.
I know, but you know what? There was a lot of iconic Polly stuff this season. He
Mhm.
improved a lot of iconic quotes.
Cabs here, t-shirt time. Yeah.
And I know people personally that still use both of those quotes. So
It's fun.
that's some
It's
good
fun.
shit.
I get it.
And then they go to Ron and Sam. Ron and Sam
Yes.
announce that they are together still. And then Jaleesa shows some clips of the first night at bed, the famous first night at bed
Yeah.
with the making out and the cocktail waitress and the breasts and all that good stuff. And Sam very much has this energy of like, I know it is what it is, and we're moving on. That's why I
Sam
think
and Ron are kind of laughing a little about it, and Jay Round's like, you're just rolling their eyes. Everyone's so over it.
That's why I think this happened during season 3, because I think at this point they had time to get over it. Because they just seem so like, ugh, whatever. Like it was totally different from last season where they were still upset, but this one they're just over it.
So here's where then we get some weird behind the scenes tea that I think maybe is an attempt to make some things make more sense. I don't know that I buy it. They pull up JWoww and they say that part of the reason that Sam was so inexplicably hostile towards JWoww is because there was some conversation that JWoww doesn't remember happening, where something was said of like, maybe if some other scenario was the case instead of this, JWoww would hook up with Ron. And JWoww is very much like, that never happened. If anything, I'd fuck Paulie. So don't even say that, which is hilarious. Mandy, what do you make of this?
I think maybe Ron, because he's, he's got quite the ego, that one. Maybe he misunderstood, because I don't believe that Jenny would ever say anything like that.
It was
Like that
never a thing.
that she wants to hook up with Ron,
It
or
was
that
never ever a thing.
I don't know. Okay, I don't know if he made it up or if he misunderstood, but I don't believe what he said happened. I don't think there was a conversation where Jen was like, "Oh, I wish I was with you," or whatever he was saying. She was saying, "Yeah, I don't know. Maybe maybe he completely made it up."
I all of that was just so weird to me. I didn't really get it.
No,
And we don't really even get any resolve for it. Actually,
right?
what happens, and it's funny that you said Jalissa is too comfortable. She like flat out called out Sammy for her misplaced anger
Yeah,
in reading the note and then getting mad at the girls. And Sammy's like, no, I was mad at Ron. I wasn't mad at girls, I was mad at Ron. And Jalissa's like, you had a funny way of showing it, Sammy, which, okay, honestly, true. But I think
yeah.
you're right. Like, who is she? And they can't even like say anything to her because she's just this random MTV,
Right.
employee host that they have to make nice with.
Then Jalissa points out that Mike sort of told on Ron a little bit. He didn't volunteer the information, but when Sam confronted Mike, he kind of was honest about what Ron was up to. And Ron calls him a pussy for that. I believe it was censored, so I think he called him a pussy.
Which, what a weird move to be like,
Right.
you're an asshole for ratting out the asshole things I did. And Sammy's the one who she backs up Mike, which this is so awkward. Y'all are together, but Ron's mad at Mike for the things that he did coming out of Mike's mouth, and Sammy's happy that they did. Like, what a fucking mess.
And when you throw in that Sam was with Mike first on the first season, that's another extra layer of awkwardness with this whole thing.
And it's weird too, because Mike's like, oh, it's not my fault that you're out making your girl sad and I have to step in and make her feel better, which honestly is like kind of grimy, but also like that should make Ron really think like, oh shit, like that's, like, I don't know.
I think Ron knows what he did was wrong. I don't think his argument is that he's in the right and that people are wrong for calling him wrong. I think he's saying, because of bro code, you should have known I was doing wrong but kept it to yourself. You shouldn't have told my girlfriend I was out there cheating on her publicly, because we're bros in bro code. And now I can kind of see why he would think that, but Mike has never played by bro code ever. Mike is not that kind of guy. He does what benefits him in every moment. And if that means ratting out one of his guy friends, that's what it fucking means. He doesn't have bro code.
That could be honestly truer.
In fact, later in this episode, he admits flat out, he says, I am not a good wingman. And he's not.
And whatever, in this moment, he was the only one being real with Sammy. And so I don't blame her for backing him up, but this is just like the weirdest pointing of fingers between the three of them.
Yeah.
I was happy to move on.
Which it did, and surprisingly quickly.
We go to the other couples, and that means Vinny and Ramona and Pauly and Rocio. Not that they're there, but they kind of talk about them, and we hear kind of the aftermath. And it turns out that there was some small contact. It seems like Ramona came to a family event with Vinny, and maybe Pauly and Rocio like had some small, contact, but it doesn't seem like either of them are seriously moving forward right now.
No, they sort of fell out of touch a little bit. No fights or drama, just lost touch, which makes sense. I mean, it was a summer. As much fun as they had and as much as they liked those girls, they were summer flings.
It was long distance. Yeah, I get it.
I think a little summer fling, let it go when you leave, is okay.
I liked those relationships for what they were. And then we get into the better relationship, which is Pauly and Vinny. There's this whole bromance. And I think they shadily sometimes pan the camera over to Mike. And I feel like it's because they want you to get that Mike is jealous that they have this and he's not the one. But Mike doesn't like to play fun. And that was proven. And so whatever, you miss out. And I, like you said before in the last finale episode, Pauly and Vinny are something that I ship much more over Pauly and Mike.
Absolutely. And Mike is mad about that because they left season 1 with Mike and Pauly being best friends. They drove into season 2 together and they carpooled. And it was set up for them to have their best friendship again. And quickly Vinny swooped in and stole him. But you know what? I
But
don't
did
think
he, or did Mike ruin it first?
I was just gonna say I don't think Mike was a very good best friend. I don't think he's a good bro.
No, they bring him up to join for a little MVP, and they go through his problem with cock blocking and pulling
Mm-hmm.
robberies, which further shows like this is not the kind of stuff that Paulie wants in a best friend. Not that
Right.
that's like the ultimate goal, but if that's what Mike's like pissed, like why aren't we bros? Here's the reason. Here you go.
But like I said, he did this weird thing where he refused to accept that he's a cock block, but he did admit that he's not a good wingman, which you're not a good wingman because you cock block. I don't know why you're denying that you're a cock block. You couldn't
Whatever.
get any twice in a row. You couldn't get any. So you made sure Paulie didn't get any either so that you weren't alone. And that's,
Yep.
listen, you got, if your friend has the opportunity to get laid, you let them get laid. You leave the room and give them
You
a
help.
moment.
You help it happen, if anything.
You do. I would. Mike wants to be the man, though. He wants to be the man. He wants to be getting laid. And if he's not, nobody is.
Yeah, I'm so over that. I'm so over that. All right. Well, next, Snooki and Vinny are put in the hot seats and they talk about their hookup and what romance could potentially be.
And Snooki confesses she sort of still has, because she says, I had a crush on him. And they go, had? And she goes, have. So she kind of admits she still has a little crush on him, but that nothing has happened. They haven't made it.
But you know, there's people that you like always have a little crush on.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, it's always going to be there because there's just people you fond of. And I think that they gravitate towards each other, which is nice.
And I forget the exact language of it because I didn't write it down like verbatim, but they said something about being like siblings. And Jalissa said what I have always said. You see him as a brother, but you had sex? That's a little weird.
Yeah, she's like,
she called him out.
She's like, siblings don't snuggle like that.
Right. Oh, yeah, that's what she said. Which that's what I've been saying all season, but okay.
Yeah. She actually, Jalissa asks Snooki, do you see Vinny differently after he hooked up with Angelina? And she's like, well, yeah, kind of. And Vinny tries to explain that he hooked up with her to prove a point.
Oh,
because
his
she was
explanation
always giving.
He was like, oh, Angelina, he was talking shit about me around my mom, and Angelina's a grenade. And sometimes you have to hook up with grenades. And I was proving a point. I was like, what the fuck? What is any, like, he was just saying shit. He's just saying words.
Yeah.
His explanation was horrible.
He was saying, like, you always give me a hard time how I don't get girls. So I'm going to get you. Well, and that's why he hooked up with her. And it's just like a bad excuse. And Snooki, either way, is just kind of like, it happened. I'm over it. But yeah, ew. So next we go into this Angelina recap, which to me honestly seems a little bit unfair because she's not there to defend herself. And Ron really goes hard on the Angelina issues. And again, like, she's not there to like say anything. I think Ron thinks it's convenient to have someone else be a villain that's not him in a way. Yeah. But I think they could have left this out, in my opinion, and it would have been fine. But they needed some filler for this reunion. So I guess there it is.
Well, they ended it off with a little fun moment showing us some extra footage. I believe in the reality TV industry, they call it dailies. Dailies are just random clips that are like just stuff that happened. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But
they're a little bit bloopers, a little bit just like funny mirror moments.
Well, yeah, they have that. What do they call it? Like a two-way mirror where there's a camera on one side, but a mirror on the other. And it was just other like little popping pimples, silly moments, which I thought it was a fun way to end the episode. And
there was Jenny's camel toe, the poof, her boobs, a lot of butts, yeah, pimple popping, and then Snooki's fart.
And then they ask, or Jalissa asks, who spent the most time in the mirror? I thought this moment was very funny. They said Sam spends the most amount of time in the mirror because she's always straightening her already straight hair. And then Jalissa says, well, you know what? You do have perfectly straight hair. I don't see any flyaways. And when she said, I don't see any flyaways, the camera cut to Snooki, who had, in fact, flyaways, which I thought was so funny. That was like a little shady editing moment.
And I liked Sam's, thank you. I appreciate that.
She's got that shit laid down.
True. And then it just kind of randomly wraps after that. It was a little abrupt, but I mean, that was all the footage. I think everyone's ready to go back to Seaside as an audience member. I guess maybe the crew is already there. Who knows? But I think Miami was in total a mess. And so I'm ready to get back to Seaside because at least it's a mess that we recognize and love and know.
And Dina, who is my favorite cast member. I love her, and I'm excited to recap season 3.
Me too. All right. Anything else?
I think that's it. This episode was bizarre, but it exists, so we had to recap it. But I think that's it.
That encompasses the Miami season, and so that's a wrap. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Hello.
No, goodbye.
If you want more of the podcast, you can follow us on any social media at Hello Pod.
We also have a Patreon, patreon.com/hello. We've got a video feed there so you can see our beautiful faces while we recap Jersey Shore. And we've also got a little bit of behind the scenes bonus content for you.
And you can find me anywhere online at The Libregina, including my website, thelibregina.com.
And you can find me online on TikTok and Instagram at angel.iconic.music.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.